project is a camping park. And look at the weather, it's so beautiful. And look at here, nice and relaxing. Come on, let's go and see our new project today. We started to build this, and look, this is our project today. And you can see how mess is here. Come on, English guy. Look and see on the ceiling. That side, we started here a few days ago. And here he is. And look at the window. It's made of washing machine. Here you can see the sun shines outside, up here, inside. And it was beautiful here. And look, I'm going out now and see here, that side, this way. Beautiful trees, sunshine, and blue sky. Ooh, I feel so good here, relaxing. Come on, I show you our beautiful place. I'm walking here and have a look at the trees, and it's so beautiful. So today it was beautiful. It was really beautiful here. And I show you that side is a river side, and that way as well. And you can see here, and it's the trees and daffodils. And look at here. Look, come on kids, let's run and have fun. It's beautiful around here. Come on.
Completely mad. Now, here we have the ingredients for Jackon homemade soup. That's leek and potato and lardons. Lardons are actually, that's 200 grams of lardons, and they're smoked. Lardons are kind of little chopped up pork bellies. Main ingredient really is going to be the leek. I've just chopped the end off there. I'm going to give it a good wash, and then also some potatoes and some onions and some garlic. And here is a bit of some sap left over from last October, picked from the forest, and it's been frozen, so I'm going to use that. The other thing you need is some seasoning. Like any kind of seasoning, from OXO cubes. You don't really have to have seasoning actually. You can just use butter to create the taste, or indeed margarine if you prefer. So there's the margarine down there, and also the Italian herbs, and that's about it. Let's start cooking. When you're washing the leek, make sure that you get under the leaves. That's where you'll find all the bits of dirt. I use the whole lot. I don't know anyone should say any different, but personally I use everything. Obviously just cut off the bits that are a bit old or dried, but that works very well. Make sure you get sometimes get quite a bit of muck in there, and quite deep down as well, so you really need to take them apart until you're absolutely sure you've got all the muck out of it. I find the best way to deal with the leeks is just to use a pair of scissors and cut any bad bits, just get rid of them, usually at the tops. Get rid of all those, that's fine. And the rest of it can be quite literally just chopped up. Very easy to do. and you know, literally all of it goes in. You can use all the ends as well. Leeks are very cheap, so good value for money. Or better still, get them out of the garden. What I do to start with is I get the lardons just on a low heat. In fact, those come straight from frozen. The lardons cost about €0.75, 75 centimes. Quite good value for money. But keep on a very low heat for a long time, and they just thaw out gently and slowly cook. What you don't want to do, you don't want to burn them. That's the main thing. Now, while those are doing, you can just continue preparing the vegetables. Just chopping some onions up. Again, use scissors or a knife if you prefer. It doesn't have to be beautiful. Just have them chopped up. One tip is, if you're preparing leeks, very often I'm feeding the boys, and you know, they see something like an onion in there and they go, oh, I don't want an onion. So you can use a blender to blend all the vegetables, but don't blend the leeks, because that ruins the flavour. I don't know what it is about leeks. If you blend them, they taste horrible. So anything else, it seems to be fine. Same thing with the potatoes. I leave the skins on the potatoes, but you don't have to, as you prefer. It's nice, and just chop it up again. Doesn't have to look nice. You tend to mash up themselves when you've been heating them after a while. And also, don't forget about there's the sap, or just use some mushrooms. That's a bit frozen, so it's a bit difficult to cut there. But I'll finish that up in a minute. The next thing to do is to start saute the vegetables. I do that with a bit of butter or margarine, about that much. It's a bit of an about that much recipe, really. With the vegetables, leeks and the potatoes, pretty much mandatory, together with the lardons, but the rest are pretty much optional. So start the butter off melting a bit there, and just again on a gentle heat, just let them reduce and become soft. That's all I'm trying to do. Bit of salt as required. And what I tend to do is I put the seasoning at the end. How much butter you use depends on, you know, if you want to not put on weight or not. I mean, you get a lot of the flavour from the butter or the margarine, or you can get it from the seasoning. You can do the dish completely with just butter and salt, but you have to use quite a lot of butter to build up the flavour. But if you use the seasoning, it's kind of cheating, so you can do that as well. But always, in either case, use the Italian seasoning. I've not used courgettes today, but you could probably put courgettes in as well. It's kind of, I suppose, a vegetable soup based on leeks. Now the other thing, once the lardons look like they're kind of cooked, and the vegetables are softened, you know, it's time to add the water. What I do is I make sure I actually get all the fat out off the lardons, because that actually builds up the taste. I know if you're on a diet, it might not be the thing you want to do, but get all that in there, and then just pour that in. Start adding some more water. Just keep going until you got, well, probably enough there for now anyway. but kind of just level with the surface of what remains in there. Give it a good stir up. Now you can start adding the seasoning. This one here is just one I bought in the local shop. You just have to sort of use your own initiative really. I would say for me that's about enough for that particular soup. But what I do like to do is add the Italian seasoning as well. This one from Lakeland's quite nice. Got a lot of pepper in it. So I like to put in that lots of Italian seasoning. Give it a good stir, and then gently let it come to the boil, and then it's ready. Give it long enough. Make sure you give it long enough to cook the potatoes thoroughly. What I find is you can let that go cold and then serve it later, microwave it or reheat it, works very well. The other things I do for flavouring, the other day I used the leftovers of the curry to make the flavouring, and it was just fine. So you can modify it by using leftovers. And for me, I like to look in the fridge and I look for flavours, whatever those flavours might be, and I try to imagine how they'd go together with the vegetables, and generally speaking it produces quite a good result. Now let's have a look at making the bread to go with it. Right, to make the bread, what we need to start with is, for this recipe, 290 millilitres of water. Save a bit back to put with the yeast. Now you can either use kind of like a dried yeast, or I prefer the fresh yeast. It's about that much for this application. So let's put our water in there. We'll stir that up, we'll have that for later. Next thing we do is put some sunflower oil. You only need about a tablespoon of that, or not even that really, just that's plenty. Some salt, and about a teaspoonful. Not even that, I don't like to put too much salt in. Give that a little bit of mix up. For this recipe, use a bit of sugar. It's kind of like a farmhouse loaf. It's about a tablespoon of sugar. Then the flour. We're going to do it's like a brown bread, so we're going to mix the flour. We're going to have 200 grams of the white, followed by 300 grams of this. Well, I guess it's like a wholemeal kind of flour. I'm not sure what it is on there. It doesn't actually say. That's it. So, kind of a good brown bread flour anyway. Another 300 of that. There we go. What I like to do is to get the water in the bottom, do that first, because it stops it sticking to the sides. Quite important that. Anyway, put the flour in. Now finally, give the yeast a mix into the water. Make sure you get it all dissolved if you're using the fresh yeast. Fresh is better, it tends to come up much better than it does with the dried. So if you can get fresh yeast, use that. Definitely recommend it. But you're not supposed to mix the yeast and the salt. But That's what they tell you. Right, into the bread machine. In fact, what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to set the time until tomorrow morning and start it up. That's grand. Now, there's the bread. It's really come out well, that has. That's pushing out the top of the pan. Take that out. See the bread there? Get that out of the way. Well, that is one seriously nice brown bread from the bread maker.